Welcome back to Ladies of Another View. I'm Beck, and we're going to welcome back one of our favorite guests, Donna Jackson. We loved her before, so we had to have her on again. And she is a membership director for Project 21, which is a conservative Black leadership network that is supported by National Center for Public Policy Research. It's a mouthful, but let's welcome on Donna.
Hi, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Hi, Donna.
Donna, thanks for coming on again. Especially, we're going to wait until the next segment and talk about Black History Month, because right now I want to talk about some of the testifying you've been doing before on the committee for, let's see, Energy and Commerce. Can you tell us what that was about?
Yes, you know that there's been so much talk about climate change, the climate crisis, climate change, how it's affecting the earth, and all of these initiatives that we need to do in order to reduce carbon emissions. And what happens too often is that you hear all of this testimony from professors, from activists, from politicians that benefit from these grants, but you don't actually hear from the people that are impacted by these climate change policies. What you have, the majority of the times, is that climate change policies are actually more harmful than what they claim the environment, the harms to the environment are. And so I wanted to make sure that they were aware of the economic impacts of that. You have things like the Biden administration creating climate change policies that are driving up the price of gasoline. It's actually affecting the cost of food. And what it's really doing is creating artificial scarcities. So all of a sudden, instead of people being able to afford their basic necessities, they're priced out of the market. There was a report by the Energy Information Administration, and what it said is 1 in 3 individual American households can't afford their energy bills. 1 in 5 has to give up food and medicine in order to pay their energy bills. And for minority and low-income families, that's double. Imagine this. So people are not living paycheck to paycheck. They're living paycheck to Wednesday, and then they have to borrow or ask people for money in order to make it to the next paycheck. And what it's actually doing is pushing people that are in the middle class into poverty, and it's creating a barrier for people in the low end in poverty from actually making it up to the middle class. They're actually destroying high-paying, blue-collar jobs that will give people a gateway into the middle class. It's resegregating communities. It's actually pricing people out of home ownership. In California, only 26% of minorities can afford a middle-class home. That's not luxury. You're talking about 700 square feet at best. In the rich Bay Area, only 8%, I want you to get this, 8% of minorities can afford a home, which means 92% of the entire population of minorities can't afford a middle-class home. I'm talking about a low middle-class home. This shouldn't be a thing in America. And then what they're doing is increasing more of these climate change policies. Their goal is to take away private vehicle ownership. Is to push people into urban, overcrowded urban communities so that you have more spread of disease, push them into public transportation, which is not a viable source of transportation for people that don't have jobs in their communities. Our government shouldn't create a war on its people using climate change policies as a vehicle. And that's the thing that I wanted to make sure that the congressmen on that committee knew. We people cannot be an afterthought when they're creating regulations. It shouldn't be harmful to people for us to achieve the American dream. And that's exactly what these climate change policies are doing.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny that you point out like places like California when, they're the biggest, Democrats, and we have like the Nancy Pelosi's and all this stuff pushing these big agendas that, I mean, first of all, so if everybody has an electric car, where are you going to plug them in? I mean, who can...
And that's not even their goal. It was an article in the Wall Street Journal where one of the green activists finally admitted their goal in pushing people into electric vehicles is actually to take vehicles away from people. They know that the grid will not hold up to having the extra requirements for electric vehicles, but that's not their point. They want to make sure that fewer people can actually drive a car. So they know that if you force, because they're proposing efficiency standards that gasoline-powered vehicles can't meet. So you have to create an electric vehicle in order to meet these efficiency standards for the vehicles. So what they're doing is proposing that so that A, the majority of people can't afford an electric vehicle, and B, the grid cannot be able to support those electric vehicles, so that more people will have to ride bikes and take public transportation, which is not reliable. What they're wanting to do is that people cannot venture out more than 10 miles out of their communities. They're actually pushing us backwards. We're going in exactly the wrong direction.
And there's been talk about it, and the more that happens now, and as things roll out faster and faster, it seems, to destroy the middle class, that is the backbone of America. And I think they've been trying to do it for a long time. And when you get the food and energy to a point that people are having to, disregard other things in their life so that they can have those things, and home ownership, and even your apartment rent, being able to afford that. And so as this keeps going, you almost got to wonder, so we're going to be another of those countries that America will no longer have exceptionalism, because everybody will be broke except for the designated class of people but who's going to pay for all this? Or are we all just going to live in poverty, and everybody else that gets to keep their money is just going to have a good time? I mean, that's where my brain goes with all this.
Well, that's where they're going. They're lowering the standard of living right now for the majority of Americans. But their real agenda is to depopulate the earth. So they don't want zero population growth. They want negative population growth. So if they push people into crowded communities where we know during COVID, disease spread faster, then that's exactly the results they want.
Mm-hmm. So the far left is about destruction of our society and our way of living. And Donna, I know you're not a proponent of CRT, critical race theory, but Donna likes being Black. We're going to talk about Black History Month. We don't care about people's race, but I'm telling you, I will jump on that racism train if it's going to get rid of climate change. It's like, this is brilliant, because now what are you going to do, you guys?
Yeah.
You're playing this card, but you're playing this card too. And I love that you say, that the government shouldn't be having a war on its people. And that's what they're doing, is they push climate change, the whole agenda.
Yes, that's exactly what they're doing. And we have to fight back. They're proposing a regulation for every appliance in the house, including your water heater, your furnace. They're proposing on demand, so that a bureaucrat or someone from a remote location can turn off anything in your house. They want depopulation, and they don't care how they achieve it. And yes, what you said, they hate the middle class because the middle class makes too much noise, and we actually watch what they're doing.
And you know what? They don't really love minorities if you say the wrong thing, right? If you say the wrong thing, you're not on their team. They don't like you, Donna, but we love you.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
when we come back, we're going to talk about Black History Month. I want to nominate Donna because you're one of my heroes, speaking out, singing our songs. So when we come back, we'll talk about more of like that.